Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Welcome back to another episode. We're going to start talking about something random that came out earlier. Charles Barkley, out of nowhere, praised TJ McConnell. Came out, it was like, when I think of grit, I think of TJ McConnell. Now, honestly, when I think of grit, I also think of TJ McConnell. He's 6 feet tall, but he's someone who's going to fight for a rebound. He's someone who's going to sneak up on you and grab a steal. He's not the best three-point shooter, but if he's open, he's going to take it, and there's a lot of times that he's going to make it. He's one of the best, for his pound for pound, his size, he's one of the best paint players in the NBA. He's not afraid to get to his spot. He's a very good mid-range shooter. He has that little step back that he likes to do, which is pretty much unguardable because of how high the arc is, even though he is shorter than most players, pretty much the whole NBA. But this is big praise coming from Hall of Famer, someone who made it to many All-Star games, was an MVP. Obviously, Barkley was never a champion, but this is still very high praise from one of the best players in NBA history. So that's definitely something good for McConnell. Definitely something he could utilize. Just continue improving. He is one of the veterans on the team, but he keeps getting better with age. He's someone that the Pacers want to keep for the rest of his career. He's been on the team since 2019, so he is currently our longest tenured player, and we'd love to keep him, love to have him for the rest of his career just because of what he brings to the game. No one plays with more passion. You saw him in the finals, in that Game 3 game where he was just could not be stopped. One of the craziest games I had ever watched, at least a bench player put up, especially in the finals. So, glad to still have him. And then next, speaking of the finals, first preseason game will be a rematch against Oklahoma. Now, obviously it's the preseason. You're going to have a lot of players playing. You're going to have a deep roster of just players getting minutes. None of your starters are going to play more than 15 to 20. Just kind of seeing what you have. Kind of like the NFL preseason, you don't really want to play all your star players too much because you don't want to risk an injury. So just obviously having the starters, seeing what they accomplish in 15 to 20 minutes, and then just having your bench step up and just kind of testing out the role players and just players that may not be fully under contract, or just testing out those last remaining players that are fighting for that last roster spot. So that's something to look forward to, especially against a team like the Thunder, who are just coming off that championship. So that's going to be a very fun game. I'm definitely going to be tuned in to watch that. We'll definitely be talking about it afterwards, just kind of seeing my takes and what we could work on. Of course, like I said, it's the preseason, so it's not like we're going to go out and put up 120, 130 with our starting lineup. But, it's definitely something to look at. Now, I kind of want to switch topics a little bit and talk about last season. We've seen many crazy good postseason runs. We have seen LeBron 2016, Dirk 2011, Kawhi Leonard in 2019. When you talk about some of the best postseason runs, those are the top three that people talk about, especially over the last few seasons. Now, you really could talk about Jokic 2023, Giannis 2021. But if we're talking about postseason run of a team that didn't win the finals, I would have the Pacers number one this year. And I will put Tyrese Halliburton's overall play as number one. Now, if we're talking about all time, including the winners, I think Hallie's still a top five. Now, I don't think, because Kawhi won, because LeBron won that year. LeBron's, in my opinion, is number one, that 2016 run, because he did beat that 73-9 team from that 3-1 championship. I'll put Dirk at number two, just because that team had no business winning that finals. He won it with that roster that he had, JJ Barea starting, but he's number two. And now statistically, Kawhi could probably be at that number one spot, and especially with his Game 7 winner against Philadelphia. But I will probably put Kawhi at number three, just right there. But then I'm going to go with Hallie, number four, just overall impact. Now, feel free to give your takes in the comments. Totally fine. There's a lot I could be missing. Now, obviously, there was Shaq in 2000 when he averaged 36 points in the finals. Any of Jordan's 6 rings, and there's a lot back there. But overall, like, kind of underdog stories. That's kind of where I'm really going. If we're talking about like a solid postseason run, I'm kind of just going underdog right now. And no one was a bigger underdog than the Pacers this year. Pacers weren't really favored to win round one. A lot of ESPN analysts, a lot of people had the Bucks winning that. Obviously, that was a 5-game series that the Pacers won. We were expecting Lillard to come back, but then he ended up tearing his Achilles in that game in that series. Now the Cavs series, not a single person had the Pacers winning that series. And now, yeah, you could say the Cavs weren't healthy, but there were games where they were fully healthy, and the Pacers were still winning by 41 at halftime. So, yeah. That was a 5-game series as well. The Knicks, yeah, don't even get me started on that Knicks series. Game 1, that crazy buzzer beater, one of the craziest things I have seen as a Pacers fan. I didn't even mention the 2 game winners in Milwaukee or in Cleveland. That Cleveland one will forever live in my memories, by the way. But the New York one was just one of the craziest shots I've ever seen. It would have been even crazier if it was a 3. Now, yeah, we did win in overtime. We did win that series in 6 games. We had that legendary Game 4 performance where Halliburton had that 30-point triple-double with no turnovers. So that's kind of kicking in there. Game 1 of the finals is kind of why I put Hallie as high as I did. Now, he was struggling most of that game, don't get me wrong. But when it came down to it, him, Nemhard, everyone got together and just led that crazy comeback. And you put it in the hands of Halliburton at the end of the game, you know it's going to go in. So I'm keeping that top 5. Obviously, for a team that didn't win, I will put him number 1 as the most successful non-championship finals run that a player has had. So that's kind of my take on that. And then last but not least, I'm just going to talk about Obi Toppin a little bit. I think he has 6th Man of the Year potential. Now, obviously, TJ also would be part of that conversation. But Toppin's coming off a season where he's averaging 10.5 points, 4 rebounds, only less than 20 minutes a game. Only missed 3 games all season, so he has been very healthy for the Pacers. That has been his number 1 thing. Very reliable. He didn't miss a single game in that 2023-2024 season. Played all 82. Only missed 3 this year, so only missing 3 games in 2 seasons. That's something you want on your team, especially with the fact that besides Siakam, no other player has missed pretty much less games than Obi Toppin has, because Siakam has been very healthy throughout his Pacers tenure as well. So I can see Obi increasing his production a little bit. I think he's going to get more minutes off the bench, so maybe up to 12, 13 points a game. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of really good bench players this year fighting for that spot. We obviously are going to continue to see Peyton Pritchard doing his thing. We're going to continue to see Naz Reid doing his thing in Minnesota. So whatever happens with Malik Monk in Sacramento, if he stays, he's going to be another player to watch for 6th Man of the Year. So we're just going to we're going to continue to see that. We're going to see how that goes in the season. I'm rooting for Obi or TJ to win that, of course. But I kind of want to see how Obi, because he was a lottery pick. He was drafted in New York. So I just kind of want to see if he can get to that level, even that starting level. So we'll see how that goes. But as always, I'm Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go, Sirs.